So welcome to this episode. Let's continue styling our pages. We continue with the about and works page. So in the previous video, we went through styling our pages by styling mainly the home page, the navigation, and then the footer. So we inherited some of these styles on other pages. So what we are going to do now is to focus on the about page and try to make it look like our prototype as we said here earlier on. So let's get started. So I'm going to my about page. Look at the structure of our document. So we'll have our navigation in the header, which we have dealt with already, the footer as well. So our business lies in this section today. So if we look at the structure, we have a heading 1, which represents the title. Then we have a subtitle, which is the about, and then we have some paragraphs. Then we have H3s that represent the captions for the various parts. So let's look at that and see. Okay, it's H3 again. All right, so we have H3s and then some paragraphs under each. So here we go. So the image, I think I've got an image, a second image just for this. It's not the same person, but yes, so this image will help us have something cooler. So let's go ahead, and we said we wanted that image to be at the right side, like we prototyped it here. So that will be the first thing we'll do. So let's start by that. So basically what we want is this div section to be at the left side and then the aside to be at the right side. So it means we need to target this section tag. So we'll assign a class to it and we'll call it about section. That's not the best way of naming, but it would have been great to name it just about, but because I assume that there is a lot more in the about page for me to name only this section about. So we'll go back to our CSS. All right, so that should be before the footer. So let me make it somewhere here, and then I can comment as about page. So we go ahead, we start with our CSS class about section, and then the about section, let's say we would like to, I'll keep the heading 1 as small as this, but about I would like to increase it a little bit. So I'll go, sorry, so let me just keep this empty for now. This is the main section itself. So I would like to start the heading 1. The heading 1. What I want to do for that heading 1 is just to change the color into something a bit dim. So let's say gray. Not there, here. So right, so I want it to be gray, dim like this. Now the H2, which is the about title, I would like that to look a bit bigger. So H2, and then font size, so that's going to be, let's say 3LEM. Great, so something like that. That's the idea. So I would like to eliminate the space a little bit on top of the about, so that it gets closer to the name. So this is going to be padding top 0. It is not, of course it should be the margin top, margin top. Great, so we get it a little bit closer. Now let's try to fix the alignment of the two sections. So the div area, so that's the div, and then here I wrote gray, so I could have made it this. So I could use the hexadecimal code for the colors. So instead of the color name, I could also use the hexadecimal. So this seems to be too dark, so let me use 666. Great, that looks okay. So you could make it 6 times or 3 times, so it works. All right, so the next is to to fix the alignment. So let me go here. So we have to make the section itself, the about section, to display as flex. So we go here, display flex. So here we go. So then we have the image at the right side. We'll make it flex. Let me justify the content to be flex start. Yes, flex start. Then align the items flex start as well, so it starts at the beginning. Here we can see that the image is trying to cross on top, so I would want them to be aligned at the same level. Okay, so now there's one thing I would like to add, one particular element. I would like to add a star to all images. So anything image, I don't want it to have to go beyond whatever container it is in. So the max width of the image, max width of an image should always be 100% of its container, and then the height should always be automatic, so that we get proportional images. So that's the first thing I will do, and you can see now the image tends to behave. Okay, so still I would like the image to be a bit larger, and here we can see it's kind of, I think, let me try this guy here. So instead of align items, let me try center and see. Good, so something like that. And I would like the image to be a bit larger, so instead of, so I will use section about section. So about section, then the aside, about section aside, and then we can kind of specify a minimum width it should have. Minimum width of, let's say, 30%. And see what we have. Good. So this will allow us to adjust the width of that container, the image container. So let me go to 40% and see. Great. So we have something like that. So obviously I could make it go up, so by saying here, instead of center, it should be flex start. But I think the other way, the centered option is better, so we use center. It makes it a bit cool. So here we are. So we have something similar to what we said on our prototype. So basically we are done with our about page. So let's move on to the works page and see what we can do here. So here we have a caption for the list, as we said earlier. So each list has a title and then the text. So how could we make that happen? So if we look at our prototype here, we did not plan any particular styling, but let's try to play with it a little bit and see what we have. So let's go. So we are going to add an area for the works page. Great. So for this page, let's go on the code, the HTML code, and see what we have. So basically we have a DL, that's all. We have a DL, and since we know this is the only area where we have a DL, so we can target it directly. So that's the first thing. The DL, what do we want to do with it? Let's say I would like to have it, so let me give it a border. Let me give it a border of 2 pixels and make it solid, and still keep our color of tomato, right? So that's the first thing, yes, to kind of contain it somewhere. Then I'll give it some inner spaces, which is the padding, inner spaces of 2 rem. I'm always keep on refreshing this one, so to give it some space inside. Then for the caption, which is the DT, the data term, so DLDT, I would like to make it a bit bigger, so we'll start from the font size, make it, let's say, 4 rem. Great, my works, wonderful, it looks okay. Then for each one of the DDs, so that's it here. So for each one of the DDs, we have a H4 inside it, which has the title. So let's go ahead, we go here, so we say DL, all the H4s in the DL, so we don't need to go too deep, don't need to detail the process, the path. So now we can say, let's change the color into tomato, right? Then we would like to also reduce, no, we will not reduce the spacing, we will rather increase the spacing after the paragraphs. So I think that will be the DLDD margin bottom 2 to 3 rem. Let's see, 3. Great. So we have that. So the title, the H4 titles, we can also increase the size a little bit by using font size and specifying, let's say, 2.5 rem. Oh, that's quite a lot, so let's use 1 and see. Great, that's okay. And I still don't like the spacing, it looks a lot, so let me reduce margin bottom 0 and see. Yes, that's quite acceptable. Good, so we have something. So that's it. Let's have our next video to discuss a little bit how we can style our contact page. Thank you so much for watching this one. And